Hello friends, welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Today we are going to spend some time in the kitchen making meals with what I already have on hand. Last weekend was a busy holiday weekend, and because of that I didn't end up going to the grocery store. I do sometimes have weeks like this where I kind of want to stretch things and get rid of stuff that we already have in our freezer, in our pantry, so that is exactly what I did this week. These meals are all budget friendly, but they're also very versatile. So if you want to make any of these recipes, you can with whatever you also have on hand. We are starting off with barbecue flatbread pizzas today. This was something that I love doing every summer. It is always a hit, and I feel like it's really nice because everybody can pretty much do their own thing. So this was actually for my birthday. So you will see my daughter's helping, my husband's, everybody's just kind of helping cook, so I don't have to cook the entire meal by myself on my birthday. So my daughter is rolling out the tortillas that we use for like the flatbread. Those are very, very simple ingredients, and I'll have them listed down below if you want to try them out for yourself. I thought this would be a good meal to plan specifically for my birthday because I knew that it would be easy enough for everybody to help. So my husband, he grilled some chicken breasts on the grill. My daughter, she did a lot of the tortillas and kind of assembling things. The boys, they also like assembling their own. So it was kind of a whole family thing. I knew it would be very easy to throw these together on my birthday. I also wanted to choose these because I have been on a health journey. I often don't eat the same thing that my family eats for dinner. So I thought this would be a good meal to have. Everybody can kind of customize their own little pizzas, do whatever they're wanting on it, and I can add what I want without feeling guilty and be able to stick with what is usually on my diet. These will look differently for everyone, but we usually will have some type of garlic spread that we spread on, and usually we'll just make that with like powdered garlic and butter. We'll smear that onto each flatbread. The ones that are having barbecue sauce, we'll smear that on. I'm using the sugar-free teriyaki marinade, and then also I think my son Lincoln is using this one too. So I just kind of added a little splash to add a little bit of flavor. We really love barbecue on it, so I will do that on most of them. My daughter, she does not like sauce. She really does not like barbecue. She likes this teriyaki one okay, but for the most part, she just will have like the garlic butter, the cheese, whatever other toppings she's wanting, and then she often will like dip it in a pizza sauce. So you can really do these however you're wanting, and each person can really make them their own. I would say these have really become one of my go-to meals for summertime. I love making these, and it's really easy if you already have flatbreads on hand. You can make a whole bunch of these at one time, put them in your freezer, and then just pull them out whenever you're wanting to make them. I really have enjoyed making these because they're so simple and they're super easy to make. So we like doing this, especially when we don't go grocery shopping for the week and we have very limited groceries. It's just something you can kind of look in the fridge, see what you have, and use whatever you have. So one of the things we did have was bacon. I think I made it for a different recipe earlier in the week, and we had some leftovers, so I just took whatever we had left over and crumpled it on top of the pizzas that people were wanting. It was kind of a grilled chicken and bacon barbecue pizza. I'm curious, what are some of your guys' go-to summer meals, things that can really be thrown together very quickly? A lot of times I like to kind of stay out of the kitchen a lot, so I will do stuff on the grill. I know that I'm putting these in the oven. However, I have done these on the grill. So like if we plan on swimming or anything like that, I'll put them really low on the grill while we're out there. That always works out really nice too. So if you're not wanting to heat up your kitchen, that's a really great alternative. I know a lot of people have these meals where they don't want to heat up their kitchen. So I'm looking forward to hearing, what meals do you guys make during the summer months? I think a lot of times as moms, we get kind of burned out on cooking because it's like, especially for me, my husband, he does not really cook. My daughter and my older two, they like to help a lot, so they will often help. But for the most part, it is generally me in the kitchen, and I can really feel burnt out from time to time. So it is nice hearing other ideas, and that is one reason why I always post my ideas and what I'm making for my family, because I feel like it will help other people. It will give them ideas. Even if you don't make it exactly how I make it, it will help give you ideas of what you can make for your family. So I always really enjoy hearing what other people make too, to give myself those ideas as well. I'm finishing up the second set of pizzas before I throw them in the oven. I'm specifically working on mine, and you'll notice that I keep bringing out this plate. This is the plate I use to actually measure my ingredients on the food scale. So I measure the cheese, I'm measuring the chicken, I'm measuring all that to make sure that I'm getting exactly the amount of that I'm wanting on there. So that is why I did that. You'll kind of see I did mine a little differently. I added a lot more veggies than everyone else, a little bit less sauce and a little bit less cheese, but this was overall so amazing, and I was so glad that I chose this for my birthday dinner. For our next meal, we're going to be doing a pasta, and I always kind of laugh to myself because every time I don't know what to call this. The original recipe in my book is called stuffed shells soup, I think, but it doesn't make a soup, and I hardly ever have shells on hand. So this is also not shells. I think I use penne. So anyway, I'm going to be making a pasta. My youngest, Theo, he specifically the night before this, he came in at bedtime and he asked for pasta the next night. He's like, I don't care if it's spaghetti or mac and cheese or what, but for whatever reason, he asked for pasta. And I love when my kids come in and have ideas that they want to do for dinner, because like I said, us moms, we get kind of burned out on things, and I like to have ideas whenever I get them. And so if my kids specifically ask for something, I oftentimes will be like, yep, we will try that. So like I said, I have not gone grocery shopping. So this recipe, if you've seen me make it before, it probably is going to look very different this time around. I will again have the recipe down below in the description box, but just use whatever you have on hand. I'm sure it will turn out great. For this recipe, I am using a ground chicken. I added in some onions and garlic, some Italian seasoning. I usually will do some type of tomato sauce base, so that is what I did. I did not add salt because I didn't have any chicken broth, so I'm using some chicken bouillon, and that can be very salty. So I'm adding that in now, and I'm just kind of slowly adding it in to get it to the thickness that I'm wanting. So I also did add a little bit of flour, I think about 3 tablespoons worth, and then the recipe did not have any cheese, and I could have sworn I added in cheese earlier, or the last time I made this. So I'm adding in some cheese, just some cheddar and Parmesan. I'll mix that together, and then usually I like adding some type of cream. Every time I make this, the kids always love it, and it's such a simple pasta to make. I haven't been making it that long, but it is always a really big hit whenever I do, so I often like making it. And like I said, this is a very versatile one. You can definitely add in so many more veggies. You can, if you don't have cream, you don't have to add that. You can have it more of a tomato base. But this recipe is super, super good. I also had my daughter go to the garden and get some fresh basil. So that is what I'm adding in now. I rinsed that off, chopped it up, and added it to it. My mom always served a piece of butter bread along with pasta. So that is what I served with this. And it was the perfect quick weeknight dinner. For our next meal, we're going to be making breaded chicken and garlic cream sauce. We'll also have some mashed potatoes and salad on the side. So bear with me a little bit with this one. This one is by no means difficult in any way, but it's a little bit more of a process because I'm going to be breading the chicken, and I just wanted to do things a little differently this time. I like posting really simple weeknight meals, ideas like that for your family. However, I wanted to switch things up because we have had so much grilled chicken here recently because I'm on a diet, and it's just the easiest thing for me to make a bunch of and then serve to the family. So I wanted to switch things up for my kids and serve them some breaded chicken. I don't make this too often, but whenever I do, it is such a hit. You could definitely skip this step if you're not wanting to do this, because I definitely have skipped this step before. But what I am doing is I have all of the chicken thighs in this bowl, and I'm making kind of a buttermilk mixture with some salt and pepper, milk, and a little bit of vinegar to make that buttermilk. I'm giving it a good mix, and then I'm going to set it aside and let it rest for about 30 minutes before I toss it and coat it. I'm going to be coating these twice, so I'll take them from the buttermilk and I'll put them into this flour mixture that I have. It's just flour, salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, and then I added in just a sprinkle of Parmesan. So I'll put it in there, I'll bread them, get them nice and coated, and then I'll put them on a plate, and then I'm gonna bread them again. I wanted to show you that I got 2 yolks. I thought that was kind of cool. I don't usually see that, so I had those 2 eggs, which I guess is kind of like 3. I'm going to mix them up with a little bit of water, and that will be the second batter. So I'll dip it in the flour mixture first, get them nice and coated, put them on a plate, and then I will then do a little bit different of a batter. I'm going to be adding flour. I'll add some panko, more Parmesan, more garlic, stuff like that into the other batter, and then I'll put them in the egg and then that final panko mixture. Can you see the dogs kind of going crazy in the background? That always kind of cracks me up whenever I am watching these back during voiceovers and I can kind of see what's happening in the background. My husband had just gotten home and the dogs were so excited. They're jumping all over him and stuff. So anyway, that is why there was a bunch of chaos in the background. During the summertime, we also implement a time from like 4 to 7 each day where we are off all devices. We spend time with the family, we watch shows, we eat dinner, just we do stuff together, whether we're out swimming or doing something outside. We take those couple of hours each day to set aside for each other. So this was during that time. So everybody is down here. There's full-blown chaos. Everybody's running around and just kind of playing. The dogs are playing, everybody's excited, and everybody's home. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to be coating these twice. I coated them in the first flour mixture. Now I'm getting the second flour mixture ready. So I just added more salt, pepper, garlic, Parmesan. Ted sat there and he was like, this smells real good. And I added in some panko breadcrumbs, a little bit more flour, and I'm getting that all stirred together. Then I will dip the chicken into the egg wash and then into this flour mixture before I fry it on the stove. I've really come to enjoy weeks like this where I am just not getting groceries and I'm just using the stuff in our pantry, in our freezer. I feel like it really is helpful because it gets rid of a lot of things that we have that maybe we've kind of been putting off, and it helps clear out the fridge, the freezer, and the pantry. So I like weeks like this, and I want to start doing it more often. Like I said, it's very helpful, and I actually do plan on going in on a bigger grocery haul this weekend. I think I'm actually going to share it next week. I plan on going to Sam's Club and Walmart, and I'm also going to try out a couple of new, like they're not new, local grocery stores in my area. So that's something I have planned for this coming up weekend, and I think just having weeks like this helps me prepare better for weekends like that where I'm about to fill the pantry and the fridge and the freezer with all kinds of stuff. So it will be nice to have it pretty much empty whenever we go to do that. And like I said, I do plan on sharing the deals and stuff like that we found in next week's video. So if you want to see that, stay tuned. I have the chicken going in batches on the stove now. I did get this first batch a little too done because I was kind of preoccupied, but I have it going in about a couple tablespoons of oil, and I just do both sides. I usually will cook it like in the sauce all the way after. However, I decided to do it a little bit differently this time, and instead of cooking it the rest of the way in the garlic sauce, I cooked it in the oven the rest of the way. So I just lined a baking sheet with a piece of parchment paper and put all the chicken on it for it to cook the rest of the way. And while that was cooking in the oven, I worked on the cream sauce. For the cream sauce, I am using that same pan. I kind of wiped out some of the more burned pieces that I had created. But I like keeping the flavors of that chicken in here. So whatever rest of the oil, there was only a little bit. I put in about 2 tablespoons of flour, melted those down, and then I added in a couple tablespoons of flour. I'm getting that all mixed up, and then I'm just slowly adding in, you can do like a chicken broth or beef broth. You can do whatever kind of broth you're wanting to do. You could do milk if you're wanting. I am just doing water, and I added a little bit of chicken bouillon, getting that all mixed and stirred. I'm doing it slowly to make sure that there's no lumps and kind of getting to the consistency that I'm wanting. Then I'll add in a lot of garlic, some Italian seasoning. I feel like I usually add in a bit of Dijon mustard to this, and I feel like it always tastes really good. However, my daughter was watching me do this, and I cannot add Dijon mustard to anything while she's watching me. If I add it while she's not watching me, she never notices. So I think I usually add a teaspoon or a tablespoon of it, enough to where you can just barely get a hint of it. So I think I usually add it in during that process. I just didn't this time. And I finish it off with some cream and Parmesan. Again, just getting to the consistency that I'm wanting for a nice cream sauce, and just slowly adding the ingredients as I go. So not a ton of measurement. It's just measuring with your heart in this one. Like I said, I made mashed potatoes. We had leftover salad from our party, so I wanted to get rid of that and use that. And this was dinner. It was so delicious. And like I said, I just wanted to mix things up, and it was really a nice thing, a nice change. This was my plate. I just had grilled chicken with some salad and some more of that teriyaki sauce. And it has really been my go-to here recently. I know I've made this Alfredo chicken bake on my channel before, but it is so delicious, and I love how quick and easy it is to put together. So that is another thing we are going to be making in today's video. So what I usually do at the beginning of the week, I will cook a bunch of chicken on the grill, and that way I have stuff to eat all week long. And I found that it's been a lot easier for me during my weight loss journey to do that, because then I don't have to think about my meals. And a lot of times when I don't have to think about it and I already have stuff readily available, it takes that energy out of it. I don't know how to put it, but it's like there's no mental energy in it. So anyway, it just is been so much easier and allows me to stay on track. So I usually will have a bunch of chicken, and this week I actually had some left over. So I took these 2 chicken breasts that I had left over. So this is actually technically 1 chicken breast. I always cut them in half, so then they're thinner. So one large chicken breast that was cut in half and grilled. I had that left over, so I chopped that up for this recipe. If you have rotisserie chicken, you can use that too. I think a lot of times I've done that. You can also like boil chicken or bake it ahead of time. It's really nice to do ahead of time, and it just comes together so quickly once you already have it available. The vegetable is also something that I tend to do differently every time. We had a leftover veggie tray from our party. So, I mean, we had so much food for our party. Oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. So we had broccoli left over on the veggie tray. I'm just taking that and cutting it into smaller pieces and then throwing that in this baking dish with the chicken. I'm going to season that with like some garlic powder, onion powder. You can do Italian seasoning if you want. This is one thing I love about all of these dishes is they're so versatile. So if you have green beans, use those. If you have frozen peas, you can use those. Just do whatever you have on hand. I always refer to these kind of weeks as like a chopped kitchen type of week. You know that show Chopped, where they're given an idea or something. They have like a category. I haven't seen it for a couple of years, but and then they have to just kind of do with what they're given. And I kind of feel like that in these weeks where I just use what I have on hand, and these meals, they look different from week to week, but that's kind of the beauty of it. So anyway, I have the seasonings that I wanted in there. I gave them a nice stir, and then I have this jar of Alfredo. I added some water to the jar and shook it up just to get the rest of the sauce out. Now I'm going to stir it up and add in the cheese. Now you can use whatever kind of biscuit topping you want. You can use them from those cans. You can mix together your own, however you're wanting to do it. But I have been doing this Cheddar Bay biscuit mix, and I swear it's like the star of the show because those Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster are so good. I think that whenever we go there, that might be the reason we go there. We're for some biscuits. Anyway, they're so good, and I keep using these. I've actually had a couple of these boxes in my pantry for a while because I ended up getting them on sale the last time I had bought them. So anyway, I have some of those and I'm going to be using that. But if you don't have that, you definitely could use other stuff. So I'm just mixing that together and adding in the cheese and stuff like that. I don't follow the exact instructions that are on the box. I kind of mix it up a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty similar. So I'm mixing all of that together, and then I'm going to be saving the packet of seasoning mix that comes with it, and I'll add that to some butter and brush that onto the casserole once it's all done baking. So I'm going to get this mixed together really well, and then I'm going to just scoop it onto the casserole. Now you do not have to be perfect about that in any way. I never, well, you know what, I say I never am, but I think the last time I tried making this more like biscuit, like each individual biscuits, and you don't have to do that. They spread out nice and evenly, and so I just kind of took some and plopped it right on top and called it good enough. So that is what I'm doing here. I'll use the entire box of that mix and put it over the top, and then I'll throw it in the oven to bake until it's nice and golden brown and bubbly. So like I said, I reserved that seasoning packet from the box in this. If you are not making these, but you want to have something similar, I'm pretty sure it's just like garlic and maybe some like Italian seasoning or something like that. You can easily just kind of whip together your own and put it into some melted butter. Just brush it right on top and it will be perfect. Oh my gosh, these are so delicious. And Although I did not eat this for dinner, I had a couple bites because it is so good. I had to taste test it for poison, you know. Anyway, this is how dinner turned out. This is such a quick and simple recipe that I love making it on the repeat. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope these recipes gave you some inspiration on what you can make in your kitchen this coming up week. But anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.